All right, so who am I here with?
I'm 𝗀𝗵𝗃. I'm the co-founder and CEO of invizix.
𝗍𝗵𝗃.
Invizix.
Tell me about that.
Yes, so it's a combination of invisible and physics, and that's because we're using invisible waves and first principles in physics. Basically, we're building wireless medicines that rather than using drugs, we use electromagnetic fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what types of diseases or conditions are you treating with this?
Yes. So we made a surprise discovery, okay, complete serendipity here. We found that there's a range of fields, very weak, weaker than those coming from an iPhone, that allow us to adjust metabolism, kind of like we're adjusting a thermostat. And we can do this in different cell types. So now our first indication, although we started in diabetes, where we were actually increasing the rate of metabolism in different tissues to burn sugar and treat diabetes, and we've published this. In cancer, which is now our lead indication, because there's a defined pathway to market, major unmet need. What we do is we can actually slow down metabolism to starve and kill tumors, because they're addicted to sugar.
Right.
So we're targeting something very fundamental that is shared across multiple diseases, from diabetes, cancer, to Alzheimer's, to the aging process as well.
So you're doing this with electromagnetic waves?
With electromagnetic waves, you
How
can't
did you
sense
figure that out?
them.
Like what happened?
Passion project.
Okay.
You know, I'd say putting my tinfoil hat on here, I was growing up and I was always concerned about how these fields interact. My mother certainly did not help, being a Polish immigrant and seeing my twin brother and I sitting next to our Wi-Fi router and saying, "Don't sit too close," and then taking out her wooden spoon and whacking us. A little trauma there. But those questions stayed with me. And so when I graduated with my PhD in neuroscience, had an opportunity to actually explore this project and did a whole screen and was really looking to see if there's any damaging effects of these fields. Now, on the contrary, we made a completely surprise discovery that actually some of these fields, they can be used for therapy. They can be used to actually increase or upgrade health and performance.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
So theoretically, all of the electromagnetic waves that we are subjecting ourselves to could potentially be changing our metabolism, could be changing our physiological bodies.
That's an open question.
Yeah.
You know, early 2000s, there was the scare of living under power lines, links to leukemia. Before that, there was a scare about cell phones and brain cancer. And, you know, the research there was funded by cell phone companies.
Yeah.
So it's still a question. But as we're developing more powerful Wi-Fi solutions, network solutions, we're being bombarded with fields that we simply just don't understand the biological effects. And what we're finding is it's not like heating. Like there's much more subtle effects from some of these fields that target fundamental processes within our cells. Yeah.
Interesting. So what's your background? How did you fall into this?
I have been fascinated with learning and memory since I was a kid. I've been interested in innovative ways to upgrade performance. Just being an athlete growing up, I was training with the Olympic team in Taekwondo, and they were doing some really innovative protocols. Neurofeedback, binaural beats.
Oh, nice.
You know, different things to just try to get that edge in performance. And so growing up with that, we were always looking for other ways, maybe things, low-hanging fruits that could also offer those same benefits. And had this opportunity again during my postdoc and training to actually go out and explore which fields are beneficial and which fields are detrimental.
Right. So how did you translate that, though, from a passion project into a business?
The transition there was recognizing. So I was a professor for 4 to 5 years. Okay, I've been in academia for 15, 16 years. And the one thing that you learn about the culture of academia is that it's not designed to translate potentially earth-shattering discoveries into life-changing products. The model of academia is to publish, get grants, and publish. And, you know, part of me, I've always wanted to have an impact on people. That's the way our family raised us. Do what you can to help others. I think at some point, I recognized the limitations of academia. And after we made this discovery, we're sitting on something that we believe could fundamentally transform how we do medicine. No drugs, sleep in your bed, let us emit these therapeutic fields to treat you.
That's insane.
And it was just a responsibility that we felt as the initial inventors of this, that we have to bring this out. And then once patients learned about it, we get bombarded with dozens of emails every week.
Yeah.
When can I use it? My husband has brain cancer. He's dying. We just got an email last week about that.
Wow.
Like terrible stories, people that we meet. When can I use it? And that makes it so much more real and meaningful. And that's what drives us.
I mean, this is disruptive technology.
Yeah.
If this truly you can tailor this to affect cells in a controlled way, you're changing completely changing the landscape.
Yeah. We look at it as science fiction for a reason.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of, you could take a look at some of, Star Trek, for example.
Yeah.
You have the tricorder, right? You don't need to take a blood test for a tricorder.
Yeah.
You just zap somebody, beam them, and you could say, okay, there is potential for heart failure, or here's a broken arm. We're on the therapeutic side.
Right.
And in Star Trek, they had medical bays.
Yep.
You diagnose them, you lay down in this bed, and it'll cure you.
Yep.
And that's what we're building.
Yeah.
We think that that's the ideal medicine. And I would say, I wear UFO shirts for a lot of reasons.
I was going to ask, but you beat me to it.
I've been into this since I was a kid. My dad was very into it. He had an experience growing up. But I think what I learned from just being in and having an interest in UFOs is to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
And we like to think about, if there is an advanced alien civilization somewhere out there in the galaxy, billions, trillions of miles away, what kind of medicine are they using?
Yeah, right.
Are they taking 20 pills a day? Are they injecting themselves with drugs? Or is there some other modality, some other technology that they're using that is within our grasp in 2026? And when we started looking at electromagnetic fields, we believe that this is that next generation. It is what we believe the ideal medicine. Non-invasive, no contact.
And I would say relatively inexpensive. I mean, obviously the machinery would cost a lot, but for per treatment, it wouldn't be that expensive. I mean, you're going to set price.
Right.
But as far as a cost perspective.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Accessibility, affordability, I think those are some of our core values as well.
Yeah.
Because we do want this to get out. We do want patients to be able to afford it without having to go through the troubles of all of the reimbursement landscape and insurance. Accessibility is another big value for us. Because for a lot of patients, especially with late-stage brain cancers, late-stage cancers in general, they have mobility challenges.
Yeah.
They rely on their families to essentially be their caretakers and their Uber drivers to bring them to and from care centers to receive their chemo radiation therapy.
Yeah.
We do not want to add to the burden of what patients are already dealing with.
Right.
So when we designed this treatment, we got pushback early on from our investors. They said, you should build a wearable. And we disagreed. We said, guys, wearables, the data are clear. Patients just still find it challenging.
Yeah.
They still have to put something on, shave their heads. Can we make a technology that's compatible with human nature, that does not interfere with their daily lives?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, very interesting. So throughout all of this hasn't just been an easy process. No startup is an easy process. You've hit hurdles, you've hit roadblocks. Tell me about a setback that you've had that maybe, man, you were like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. This might be the end, but you pushed through.
Yeah, early on, we made this big discovery. We started the company, and this started out of academia. Our lab was shutting down. We lost our funding from other grants. It was a very hard time. We laid off 80% of the lab to do that. Sam Altman had a quote. He said that the hardest part about running a company isn't, the strategy or the team. The hardest part is being prepared for all of the bad things that are going to happen to you as a founder that you just don't expect. At the time, my father passed away in a house fire. Our house that I grew up in as a child, it burnt down.
Wow.
My little brother was in there. He was 10 at the time. He was trying to pull my dad out of that fire and couldn't. And I had to break the news to him in the hospital that our father died.
Wow.
And my father was a good man. He did a lot for the community. He was a business professor, but he did a lot of outreach to try to help minority students reach their goals. And for me, when I see somebody who was that good of a man with the goals that he had pass away in that way, and he died on his birthday too, for me, it lit this fire in me that we're not going to live forever. We can't control everything. And so while we're here for whatever short period we are, let's make this meaningful.
Yeah.
It's not about me. This is really about, let's see what we can do to take care of all of us as humanity. We need to upgrade our whole species, our whole civilization here.
100%.
That's the value that I think everybody in our company has bought into. And when you work with people who share that vision and are willing to do anything that it takes,
Yep.
it is a source of inspiration and motivation and energy that that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps us motivated. And talking to patients and their families, it makes it real.
Man. And so you've been fundraising for the next step. You talked about the next phase. How much have you raised so far, and what are you looking to raise on the next step?
Yeah, so to date, we've raised about $5.5 million in a seed, and that's allowed us to get some first-in-human data, to complete our enabling studies, so we're ready for trials now, build our technology, a bedside technology that you just sleep to treat.
That's awesome.
And the next step for us is to raise a $16 million Series A round, so we can actually run the trials. We have our clinical sites already picked out, our PIs picked out. We're working with the godfather of brain cancer. He wrote the standard of care for brain cancer. He led another company to get their approval as well. And he's totally bought into this.
Yeah.
He believes in this, not just as a therapy in terms of efficacy, but also for quality of life for patients.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, and brain cancer would be the ideal, because what disease is more difficult to treat than glioblastoma?
It's a scary disease. Patients go really quickly, unfortunately. And the standard of care, unfortunately, has not changed in over 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's a major unmet need. We want to go after the hardest diseases first, but we see multiple applications here beyond cancer as well. So we're excited about that, but we think that this is the first right indication for us.
So let's shift gears a little bit. We're here at the Field of Dreams BLPN event, and you were in the Moneyball program. So tell me a little bit about that experience. How was that for you, and was it worth it?
Moneyball was fantastic. We got to connect with really wise, smart, good people who went out of their way. I mean, volunteering to help us not only refine our story, our narrative, but point out weaknesses. Here's how you can communicate better. And I'm still working on that too, as an early founder coming from academia. But being around that energy of people who care, who have that experience as well, and the provenance within business, that has been extremely valuable. And then meeting the other founders and sharing our war stories. I think that just building that community, it really does help us to recenter ourselves, especially when times get tough, and realize we have a community around us that supports us. This is hard. We're going through hell here, but we're going to keep on plugging for the patients, and we can keep getting advice from our advisors as well here in Moneyball, and keep plugging away and getting this thing to patients as quick as we can.
And that's the ultimate goal.
Yes, it is. Amen.
So last question for you. If you had one superpower, what would it be and why?
If I had one superpower, the first and foremost would be to be able to, we'll say, psychically heal people. So just eliminate all diseases just by putting out those vibes, okay? Now that's maybe far out there. I think second would be being able to foresee the future. I think being a visionary in this business is extremely important, seeing where trends are going, and seeing past a lot of the noise, which is, there's a lot of it today, but I think that is critical. Because you need to stay focused on your vision. And you actually need to see where the landmines are and what is going to be the best chance of success of bringing this technology out into the world. So those two would be great. But if I could heal people just by putting out good vibes, that would be the ideal superpower.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, Calvin.
Of course.
This was
pleasure.
great, brother.
Thank you so much, man.